Good afternoon and welcome to another video with a guy and his projects. It is a lovely Sunday afternoon, a little bit warm. We just got home from church and I am going to try and make this Nissan Titan a four-wheel drive truck again. So we just got the new front differential. To be clear, it's not new, it's a used one, and if you're confused by what's going on because you missed my other videos, we'll come over here. And this is the old front diff that was in there, buried under my kids' bikes, and she's broken. So we had a couple options. We could either buy a brand spanking new differential, which was like $2,000, or get a used one for about $800. So we went with the $800 option. Being a front diff, I'm gonna find it hard to believe that a brand new or a used diff such as this is going to be trash by any means, especially considering most people with trucks that I know barely ever put them in four-wheel drive, and typically they only break because somebody forgets it's in four-wheel drive and hits the freeway. We are going to be putting this in. So in place of this, we've got to put the front drive shaft back in, and of course the two front CV joints also need to go back in. I've been driving this around in two-wheel drive for obvious reasons, because there's no, front drive shaft or front diff or front CV axles for the past several weeks, and I'm super excited to get us back into four-wheel drive action. If you want to see the video where we removed it, find it. It's in the Nissan Titan playlist. We already did that, been there, it's been a few weeks, so now we're putting this one back in. So remember guys, if you feel so inclined, hit the subscribe button, hit the thumbs up if you like the video, let me know down in the comments, and check out the playlist, and maybe give me a comment as well letting me know your thoughts. Here we go. By the way, don't mind the microphone. That's the best place I've found for audio. On my shirt, it moves around too much, gets rustly. Right there seems to work out fabulous, so don't mind it. It's ugly, I know, but it works good. One of the first things we always have to do for pretty much everything is take off the tire. We're doing this mainly for visibility, and you're gonna have to access your CV axle thing at some point anyway. When I took the diff out, I left the hardware in place so I could remember where I put it. Essentially, if you take it out, you gotta make sure you don't lose it. So I'm gonna remove these bolts, and then I'm gonna find this breather tube. Oh, it was down here, there it is. I'm gonna grab this breather tube, and I'm gonna chase a new piece of tube down so that we can just have a fresh tube. I mean, why not have a fresh tube? So the next thing we're gonna do is, now that we got those out of the way and ready to roll, is this cross member. I tried to leave it in when we took the diff out, and it really just didn't work out for me. So before we go back in, we're just gonna go ahead and unbolt these two and unbolt these two and just get rid of it. So I'm gonna do that right now. So take this out, and we're just gonna get rid of it all the way so it's completely out of our way. So now we have a lot more access, so the differential can just pop right up, theoretically. There it should be. All right, let's try fitting the CV axle in there without the bump stop in the way. Oh, it works! All right, well, I'm all antsy, so I'm not gonna touch you guys. I wanna grab some grease and just put some grease on these splines here just to keep everything nice when it goes in. All right, so we just got some wheel bearing grease here. Typically, I'd prefer to use some Molly-based stuff, but we're just gonna use what we got. So we're gonna rotate this over. Okay, now I'm gonna try and feed this through the hole like a good little CV axle. That in. We'll grab our big old freaking nut. Now we're gonna spin that in. Grab our 32mm, and we're just gonna sink her home. All right, there we go. We're gonna pull this one off. And same thing with the passenger side. We're just gonna wiggle this in. And it fits. You get some grease on there. Hope maybe this will keep it from rusting. Maybe I'll keep it cooler. Maybe it's correct. Maybe it's not. Don't know. Only care a little bit. I've already made up my mind. We're greasing this sucker. We're gonna anti-seize the threads. Then we're gonna stick our cotter pin in and bend her around. Oh! And I think we are ready for the diff breather hose. Gotta find a diff breather hose. As far as breather hose goes, I have some hosing. This one right here, that'll probably work. It looks like about the right size. If that don't work, this should be some 1/4 inch. That should definitely work. I think these will both work. My difference is this red one is silicone. It looks ugly, but it'll stretch rather than break. The other one will break rather than stretch. So that fits perfect. It is a little bit short though. This one fits more perfecter, so we'll use this one. All right, let's grab this off of here. Whee! I'll put this on here. So what I hadn't noticed is these bolts were all loose. Somebody took this cover off already at one point, and yeah, we need to finish taking it apart so that we can reseal the gasket. At which point we can then put it in the truck. Okay, now we're gonna pry this apart. All right, there's the cover, and there's our diff. Okay, so everything looks good. This is good anyway, because then if something happens now, I know I at least looked at it. So this is your ring gear. These are your whatchamacallums. That's your little pin. So on the rear, this is what fell out. This little pin right here backed out, and it was hitting these teeth, and that's what busted up the back end. So as long as this is apart now, we can go ahead and see if we can verify the gearing is the same as the back, because that would be bad if it wasn't. I don't see any gearing information on this whatsoever. All right, to verify that this is the 294 gearing, we're gonna have to count. So we're gonna spin this and count how many revolutions it takes to make its way all the way around, as opposed to this. Or I guess here is the same difference. So let's do this. We're gonna put this nut in here. We're gonna call that our marker nut up here with this bolt. And then we're gonna put one in here as well. And let's start this at the top. This is pretty much, there we go. This is in line with the breather. So let's see how many turns it takes to get this all the way around. There's 3 turns, and we're just past the breather, so that would be about 294, more or less, educated guess. So we should be good on the gearing at a minimum, which is good because I was nervous for just a second. All right, so I guess what we're gonna end up doing today is getting this gasket cleaned up here. To do that, I use these gasket scrapers. I'll link it down below. We're just gonna go through and scrape everything clean. So now we're gonna scrub this one off. We're gonna try not to get any of this inside the differential. All right, once you get all your gasket scraped off and your family goes back inside so you can do audio again, we're gonna just spray this off with some brake clean. Yeah, look at all that nastiness. I don't know where all this dirt came from, but it can go. You do not want that in there. I'm just gonna make sure this is all nice and clean and pretty. And then we're gonna do the same thing within here. This looks like it might have sat open for a couple days. A lot of metal or dirt in here. So we're gonna use the same stuff I always use. The only thing with this is they want 24 hours to dry before you refill it with fluid. And we're gonna just run a bead around. On the instructions, it'll tell you to go around the bolt holes. I never do. I just go to the inside. Never had a leak. That is what I continue to do. Now anywhere where there's an air bubble, I'm just gonna try and smoosh it down and make sure there's enough material there. I'm gonna put our lid back on. This lid has a couple of whatchamacallem? Guiding pins, I guess you might call them, which can help guide you in place. Now there's one of these bolts that was longer than the rest. I made a mental note that it went right here, just for speed of use. I want to snug these down here. I'm not going to tighten them with this. Just getting them to that point. Okay, I did not look up the torque specs. We're just going until about that tight, which is about that tight. All right, so this is essentially ready to go in, which is super exciting actually. So I think I'm gonna go grab my wife, only because I've hurt my back a few times and I'm trying real hard to not do that anymore. And pick this up and put the bolts in at the same time, I feel like is a great opportunity to hurt my back again. So I'm gonna get my wife to help have her just slide the bolts in, and that's it. And hopefully she doesn't get all dirty. It is Sunday, she's in a dress, so we'll see. Yeah, let's go grab her and get this sucker up. Oh, we're gonna get it positioned and ready. And then this hose, I feel like is gonna be easier to get up there right now. This isn't going in any particular place. We're just chasing the other one up, and I'm gonna stick it out the fender just so I can find it later. That's all.
Which hole?
That very top one. Nope, way up there.
Okay.
Okay, hold on. Can you see it now?
This?
Nope, way up here.
Right there.
You go. Oh no. the CV axle got smushed. Ah, man. Okay, go ahead and get out. Oops. This side was good. I forgot to pay attention to that side. And then very slowly turn the handle on the jack. Very, very, very slowly, and be ready to turn it the opposite way. It's counterclockwise. Okay, be ready to turn it back when I say. Okay, turn it back. Almost. There it goes. Okay, pump her back up. Actually, do you have the bolt still? Mm-hmm. Yeah, let me have that. I might be able to make it happen. Yeah, keep going. Oh man, is that it? What? Okay, stop. Okay, turn it, jack, all the way loosen the way. Alright, so this one's the hard one, especially when this is above your head, but just gonna get this in place, get started threading. Gotta find the perfect spot, and I think that's right there. There we go. Just like so. Grab this nut and the gun. And do that one. All right, she's in there. She's in there good. So if you'll remember, when we took this drive shaft out, we ended up having to cut a lot of the bolts off. For reason being, they were just in, oh yeah, perfect example. I never finished hammering this one out. So this one is still stuck in there. I'm gonna hammer that out right now. But they just weren't working out. So I went to Ace Hardware and I bought some non-matching metal, which is never a good idea, but I bought some Allen heads, Allen head bolts, so that I can actually get my wrench on there. Right here, you couldn't get a wrench on these bolts because the head was right next to the frickin' flange and it just wasn't working out. So these, you can get an Allen head in there and hopefully it'll be all right. There we go, punched out. Now, if you were a smarter man than I am, you would probably take advantage of this being out and accessible and super easy to grab, and you would take care of your U-joints. I'm not that smart. I want to put this back in because I'm ready for it to go in. Should you replace these, I would recommend it. Am I going to? Nah. I just want this back together. So moving on, let's go put it in. And then we're gonna put our bolt in from the front side. We're gonna put our nut on the back side. Good. Ah. While the cross brace ain't in our way, we'll take advantage of that situation. We're gonna go ahead and put these CV axles in right now. So when we first identified the axle was broken, I had already put the new CV axles in. So these are already pre-anti-seized. All we're gonna do is take those and bolt them into these holes. We'll obviously pick this up and match it up. Okay. All right, so we have our CV axle all bolted up to the differential. So we have a solid axle. Going to here where we have this in, we have our cotter pin. We are done on this side. We have our differential all tightened up in its 3 brackets. We have our drive shaft installed on top and at the transfer case. We're gonna put this cross brace back in. I'm gonna slide this up here. I think the heads were this side. Don't remember, hope it don't matter. This one right here. There we go. Alright, so our bump stops only go one way, I hope. Yep. So there's the bolt hole, and then there's a little spot for that to fit in. And you're just going to take your nut up in here. Okay, that one's on. Alright, so the next thing we're going to do, I'm going to come up here. This is where the old diff breather was sitting. I'm going to cut that. Oh, it's still connected somewhere else, so we'll go down there and figure that out. So we're going to come down here. It's also connected right here. I remember doing that now. Alright, now we're going to take our new diff breather hose, and we are just going to fish this up kind of in the same spot that one was. And we're going to put a filter on it because who doesn't like filtered systems? This is your diff breather. You want it where it's not going to get dirty or not dirty. You want it where it's going to be not getting wet. That's the end goal. And I bought one of these filters for it. I like using these. They're super expensive for what they are. I know that, but I still like them. So these are like 14 bucks. I'll link them in the description below, like so. And I'm gonna make it look a little prettier. Put our hose clamp over it. And then we're gonna shove this in. We're just gonna kind of make a mark of how far this needs to go in, which is about that far. Which is just a little bit farther than that. Right about there. And then we're gonna grab a flathead and tighten this sucker up. You don't need to Hercules tight this. There's no pressure on it. This is, I mean, you saw the factory one. It was just cut. I'm sure it plugged into here somewhere. And you can do that if you want to. This kind of looks cooler and it makes somebody else wonder what the hell's going on. So I like this one. And I'm gonna kind of just take it over here and try and find somewhere where it's not going to annoy the crap out of you when it jiggles. This is not an intake, so it doesn't matter if it's somewhere hot. This is just so that your differential can breathe. We have a little extra hose to play with if we need it, which I doubt it, so we'll just leave it right there. All right, guys, that's all there is to it, putting the diff back in. Hopefully you never have to take yours out, but if you do, that's all there is to it. Don't forget to fill up the fluids. I'm going to have a whole powertrain video on replacing the front and rear diff fluids as well as the transfer case. Check that video out if you want to see how to fill this up specifically. I'll try and link it down below. If I don't, just check out the Nissan Titan playlist. Again, we'll replace the rear, front, and transfer case. So that's that. Thanks for watching, guys. We gotta wait for this oil or this gasket to set till tomorrow because it's a 24-hour cure time, which is unfortunate, but we'll give this a run tomorrow. So as of now, we're gonna end the video. Keep watching, subscribe, thumbs up, and check out the links in the description below. There is Amazon links to everything we installed today. There is a PayPal link and a Zelle link if you feel so inclined. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you next time.